Hello, friends.
Hello, friends.
We're glad you could join us once again
Yes,
for our little weekly video chat with you.
always good to see you and have you join us. We're Tamara and Twila, mother-daughter team. We have a little shop called Good Earth Gatherings just south of Lawrence, Kansas, and we teach many classes also, especially our 10-month home herbalist apprenticeship program that's a virtual program. So we're delighted you could join us. It's our favorite month, October. We just love this month. It's that time of transition.
We hope you've had a chance to get out and enjoy it, or maybe a chance this next week that you can go get out and enjoy it. As I was coming even up this morning up to the shop, I noticed the pretty red leaves, but one has to be careful of them because as I reached down to pick up a red leaf, I thought, uh-oh, this could be poison ivy. Poison ivy is one of the first ones to turn in our neck of the woods, and it turns a beautiful, brilliant red color. It is just wonderful.
Gorgeous.
You can see it spiraling up the tree,
Yep.
and you know it's poison ivy, but when it's on the ground, there it lays, or a leaf has been blown in another place.
Yeah.
You have to be careful when you pick up those and have
So
to be able to identify those leaves. So what
So
I
true.
picked up, I think, was Boston
ivy. Yeah, or the
sumac is also out there now.
Yes, the sumac's turning beautiful too.
Our big patches of sumac are beautiful right now.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of always the first ones to turn.
Right out from our kitchen window, our tree has a poison ivy circling it, and it's all red, and it's just so beautiful. I noticed it the other day.
So
love it.
When something is not so good, it can still be very
It can still be very pretty, and just because it's not good for us doesn't mean it's not good for other things. It's a plant that helps teach us boundaries
and beauty for the eye.
Yes, and beauty for the eye, for sure. Yeah, we love this time of year, this very liminal, the transitional time where things seem just a little bit more mystical, sometimes literally because there's a mist in the morning, right?
The morning fog.
Yes,
just been
love the morning fogs. They're so cool. And so,
this morning we're drinking our wonderful warm chai tea.
Yes.
And it is hitting the spot because it's under 50 degrees this morning. And that's, it's not that cold, but we're just not used to it yet.
Right. Our bodies are getting adjusted to this, again, transition. And these warming spices are so good at helping us do that. Warming spices all grow in the tropics, and most of them are actually from evergreen trees in the tropics. And it's as if they encapsulate the wonderful, intense tropical sun right inside of those spices. And sometimes they're bark, sometimes they're seeds, sometimes they're different things. But those warming spices warm us up too. And so we love to put those in our warm comfort chai tea. And one of the ways that we prepare those spices for our chai tea is by using a mortar and pestle. Sometimes we use an electric grinder for some spices, but some spices just do better with a mortar and pestle because when you're using them in a tea, we don't necessarily want them broken down into a fine powder. We want them more in a tea grind, basically. And so things like allspice and cloves especially are wonderful used in a mortar and pestle. And so we, of course, being herbalists, we have lots of mortars and pestles. My kitchen counter has a kind of a descending size line on the back of my kitchen counter because I love them. We love them. I think they're part of an herbalist heritage because they represent kind of breaking down medicine, but of course the first medicines were herbs, and that's what we use them for. And so I know a lot of people aren't familiar with using a mortar and pestle, or maybe a little bit intimidated by it, but generally a mortar and pestle has a rough interior to help break down what you're trying to break down. And usually the pestle also has a rough edge to help break down what you're trying to break down. And then you put what you want to break down inside of it, hold your mortar with one hand and use your pestle with the other hand and break it down. And a lot of times we say we wish we had smell-o-vision to share when we're doing that because it smells so good. It's absolutely wonderful. And one of the things I want to mention is that you want to be cautious about the materials that you choose for a mortar and pestle. Not all of them are safe. That's something that we teach in our home herbalist apprenticeship program. We go over, and it's a little bit extensive to go over here, but we also carry mortars and pestles here at the shop. And right now we have a really nice selection of some with safe materials. So
And if you don't know how to use one, you want to come into the shop and try one. We're going to have a few herbs in the bottom of one of these, and you can play with it a little bit and try it and see how it works, because I did not grow up with one.
Right.
My mother did not use that. She did not make fancy recipes or anything other than, our meat, potatoes, and vegetable, whatever came out of the garden, and that was it. And so I had to learn to use one too, but I wouldn't be without one. And I have an antique one that I use. But I see all these new ones coming on the market, and I just love them because they are very pretty. I can see where you'd have a collection of them.
Yes. And you always want to be careful using anything quote unquote antique.
Yes.
We love antiques.
Mhm.
I grew up with antiques. Mom was the antique dealer since I can remember.
Yes.
But a lot of antiques also have potentially toxic materials that are a part of them. So you just want to be really cautious. And mom's mortar and pestle is just wood. Probably with a beeswax finish.
That's right.
Yeah, just make sure it's made out of a material that is safe. And it doesn't have like the old paint. We love old paint, but old paint a lot of times has heavy metals and such in it. So, yeah.
So anyway, talking about spices, I'd like to add one more thing I like to do this time of the year. I get ready for making my simmering spices. Now, there was a time when we would buy the aerosol air fresheners and bring into the house. We do not want to do that because there are so many.
They're toxic.
There's stuff in there we don't want to breathe in. And the same way with candles. Now, was probably the number one lover of candles. I absolutely love candles. And I like the way they smell. I love the flame. I like the way they burn and what they smell like that. However, we have all gotten away from that. I hope we've all gotten away from that, pretty much so, because the fragrances that they use in them are absolutely horrible for our lungs.
Yeah, they're synthetic chemicals. And when we breathe those synthetic chemicals in, not only are they doing damage to our lungs, but they're also entering into our bloodstream. And so they become a systemic toxin in our bodies.
Goes to the brain, everything.
Exactly. So,
so we really have to avoid those completely as much as,
We still like candles. We love candles. And the most non-toxic candles that you can burn are pure beeswax candles that are unscented, and they smell a little bit like honey, and they're wonderful. Especially if you can find some from a local beekeeper. That's great.
But I always think the bees have worked so hard.
I know. That's true.
I try not to use those either. So you could use an incense stick or do some simmering spices.
Yes.
So as I mentioned, this time of the year, I want to get together some of the things that I want to use to make simmering spices. It's a very easy situation to do. If I'm peeling an apple, and it must be an organic apple, I will save the peels. I will save the peels of an orange. Those also can be put into a little mini crock pot or a pan on the back of the stove, and you can simmer. They'll smell good. But I add cloves and I add allspice, cinnamon stick. Even if I'm out going to the lane to get my mail, I might clip off a little tip of a branch of the juniper. And can throw that in there too.
Bay leaves.
Absolutely. And things that are healthy for us to breathe in.
Yes.
And you'll add some water to that, and you'll just simmer that, and your whole house will smell beautiful and very welcoming for a guest when they come in the front door. Or someone else might say, "What are you baking?"
Right, exactly. It smells like something's baking.
Baking something, but it's an air freshener. We call that an air freshener, and it's a good for you air freshener because it is not damaging to your body, and it smells good. The only caveat on all that is make sure you keep water in that pan.
Yes,
it can burn dry real quick.
Yes.
That's from experience.
And you can also get
garage sale.
At a garage sale or a thrift store, you can get those small little crock pots.
Mini crock.
And that's that's an easy way to just keep something going and making it smell good. Then you don't have to attend the stove that way.
That's right. But you still have to keep adding water to that also. And of course, unplug it at night.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
But
safety first.
That is something truly to think about. I do not use apples from the regular grocery store on those at all because they have been coated with something now that you cannot remove. You cannot remove it with vinegar water nor hot soapy
terrible.
Water.
Called Apeel, Apeel.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is on there to stay, and that is to preserve that apple. Well, we're going to ingest that, which is wrong. I don't even want to put it in a pan to smell it.
Right. And a lot of times it's even found on organic produce.
Yes.
It's really upsetting.
So if that's the case, then even just a slice of apple or two will be good in your pan too. Try some simmering spices this fall. You're going to love it, especially if it's a day you're home all day and that you can truly enjoy that.
It's a wonderful way to cozy in.
That wonderful scent. That's right.
So simmering spices are definitely one thing that we love when we're entering into fall. And as we're entering into fall, this transitional time, it's a liminal time. It's a time when many cultures believe that the veil between the realms of the world grow thin. And so a lot of people get very interested in things like divination this time of year. It's a natural time for people to kind of lean towards that, I think, because that kind of communication with, who knows, the realms beyond, right? And I love tarot. Many of you know that I teach tarot. I've taught tarot for years. If you're interested in learning tarot, I teach my course once a year. It's a 12-week course where I teach piece by piece of the tarot, and then we get together on Zoom and practice each piece so that you really have a solid foundation in learning tarot. Here at the shop, we carry lots of different tarot and oracle decks because I collect them myself and I love them and I love sharing them with other people. To me, they're just like little decks of artwork that you can carry with you. And we have both oracle and tarot decks. We're going to be clearing out some stock of our Halloween themed or witchy themed oracle and tarot decks just for the remainder of the month. So that's really just one more weekend here that we're going to be open in October. And so if you want to come out this coming weekend, our witch and Halloween themed decks will all be 20% off, just one weekend only. And so I'm going to pull one from another one of my favorites because I love Halloween themed decks. And this is one that we carry called the Jack-o'-lantern Tarot. And I think the artwork in it is just absolutely beautiful. All right, so I'm going to pull the Magician card today. I'll show the back first because the backs are so beautiful on these cards. And then this is this deck's Magician card. For us, for this week, this card is about finding your own magic in your life. And your magic can be anything. It might be what you're passionate about, where your curiosity leads you. And it's about using your own power to move yourself forward in the world in the direction that you want to go. You are the author of your own story. What do you want your next chapter to look like? That's the Magician card.
And while we're on the subject of Halloween, or the predecessor holiday called Samhain, or All Hallows Eve.
All Hallows Eve, yes.
Yes, my stitching group met yesterday, and that's kind of a part of our magic, is doing the things that we love to do or sharing what we've made and so on. This is a version of a crazy quilt block, but it's done in the Halloween theme. And you notice the witch in the middle. This is all fabric, and there's owls in the corners, and there's a fabric that has wonderful writing on it. There's spider fabric in there, and so on.
So beautiful.
So it's put together with the stitching called the feather stitch, and that is my very favorite stitch to do. I just love that stitch, and it kind of looks like little branches coming out, and so it follows the theme, I think, really well. And I did it with black floss. So just something, these are fun things to have out this time of the year, and that's something I wanted to share with you. And at Stitching Group, we have what we call the little share, show, and tell segment, and it's always fun to see what everybody has come up with. And
so many talented, creative women in that group.
Well, sometimes it's seasonal, and sometimes it's not. It's whatever the heart says we're going to work on. That's what each person works on and does their own thing and shares. And so I'd like to share also a quote with you from this month's chapter in my book. October is the month when the smallest breeze gives us a shower of autumn leaves, bonfires and pumpkins, leaves sailing down. October is red and golden and brown.
I love it.
That is Can Teach Songs.
Very nice.
Yes, it really is. So
we hope you enjoy all the leaves falling down and your wonderful fall transitional time.
So have a wonderful week ahead.
Good earth blessings to you.